Hey everyone, my name is Sam. I'm the CMO of Cake Group, and I just wanted to start by saying a really big GM to everybody. GM, welcome to our event. Want to say a big thank you to everybody for coming. It's great to have you all here, to see so many faces that we're familiar with, friends of Cake Group, customers, partners, people from the community, some people we've never met before. It's great to see so many people here, so thank you for coming. Please do make sure your glasses are full, your plates are full, and enjoy the hospitality. We're going to keep this pretty brief and casual. Julian and U-Zyn, our co-founders, have been kind enough to do a little AMA session. So we actually reached out on social media during this week and got a bunch of questions in from people from the community. We'll start by asking you guys those questions, hopefully nothing too taxing. But then we'll open up to the floor. So if you guys want to ask Julian and U-Zyn anything at all, please do. I'm sure they'll be happy to answer. Okay? Cool. Let's get started. So the first question came in from somebody on Twitter, and they want to know why we changed the company name from Cake Defi to Bake.
I think the renaming came from, we started with a very simple kind of thing, which was we wanted to look for a fun name in finance, and Cake, believe it or not, private limited was available in Singapore. So we're like, hey, if that 4-letter name is available in Singapore, we're going to go with it. But we couldn't use the Cake name as a name for retail because there were other companies already registered with that, so we went with Cake Defi. And that worked really, really well over the time. We expanded the brand, the group, from retail only with Levain then to the enterprise side, and with Bursty Research we had so much R&D that at some point a lot of people couldn't associate themselves with Cake Defi, the retail side, anymore. And so we wanted to expand it as a group, where the group is then called Cake. We can call the group Cake because it's not out there as a brand for doing something. And so the retail side had this open name then. And so then we thought, okay, we want to stay cakey, and that's how then Bake got born. At the end, nothing changes. I know that some of you heard this. I don't know even where this came from. BAFIN, the German regulator, for some weird reason, I don't know who reported this, there's this rumor out there that the only reason we made this name change was because of the BaFin, which was the German regulator. Actually had nothing to do with that. So yeah, that is the very simple and straightforward answer. And today I think with Cake Group it's really beautiful. We have these different verticals, and yeah, I think it's very well structured. Everyone feels cakey, everyone is associated with that big brand, and then has the different verticals.
Stay cakey. On a mission as well. So for Cake Group, all we do is trying to make blockchain work for humanity across all the different fronts, right? So on Bake side, we have the retail side. Want to make it easy for retail users to get into DeFi, for you to get into blockchain, get into cryptos. And on Levain, we're trying to make it work for institutional, trying to make it the cryptography and all that work. And then we have Bursty Research doing all the research, contributing to Bitcoin, Ethereum, and DeFi chain. And then we have Wiz investing into the various startups. So we're all aligned here on the goal, trying to make it work, all this blockchain, make it work for humanity across all the different verticals.
Awesome, thanks guys. That leads me to the next question. So somebody, U-Zyn, has noticed that you've been posting a lot about ordinals at the moment. Why is that?
Yeah, if you don't know me, I'm a Bitcoiner by heart. I've been in the Bitcoin space from 2009. Really, like if you X-ray me, you can see Bitcoin right tattooed in my heart. Yeah. So when ordinals came around, it was something that really got me super excited because for the first time I could see a catalyst about bringing developers back into Bitcoin again. So I'm spending some effort there trying to build stuff for ordinals, trying to build like standards and tools and SDKs and oddsR and all these things, trying to make it work for Bitcoin. And then eventually, sure, we're gonna also link it back to DeFi chain. We're gonna make it all work with the whole thing, connecting everything together. Yeah, for me, ordinals is something that I see as a catalyst that's gonna skyrocket Bitcoin.
Awesome, thanks, U-Zyn. And a question from Instagram. This one's to you, Julian. How come you're posting so much about ETH at the moment on socials?
Okay, so I think my social, you always have to be a bit careful. I think I post on social on purpose sometimes to polarize, to trigger. Sometimes I find that funny. Sometimes I use it also obviously for engagement and for marketing. What's interesting, we just discussed this prior, when we met each other in 2016, I was actually way pro Bitcoin and U-Zyn was more pro Ethereum. And I think over the years, it just kind of, I don't think it flipped really, but I think I just got a lot more from that pro Ethereum with all the utility that's on there. And I think yeah, for you, you kind of found that love back again from Bitcoin that I think for you over the times kind of got lost a bit when Bitcoin got a bit stiff, and now there's a lot of stuff coming back.
Exactly. Yeah. You sum it up perfectly.
Yeah. So I think it's not so much. I mean, in my personal portfolio, my Ethereum position is way larger than my Bitcoin position, and it just has to do with the potential upsides that I see in Ethereum. But I really would love Bitcoin to succeed. I know that I trigger people in there, but yeah, to me, that's just how I see it right now. Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you. The next question is about market conditions. So how is Cake coping with the bear market, and what steps are you taking to protect our assets? This comes from a user on Twitter.
I think, so I'll start with something and then maybe you want to jump in there. I think the toughest thing sometimes is when you make decisions where actually the majority of your team is actually against you making that decision. And that can be very difficult as a founder, as a founding team also, to kind of really stick together when everyone around you tells you what you're doing is wrong. And we had this a lot during 2020 and 2021, where we went and we basically sold most of our profits into fiat all the time. We kept selling into fiat. And this was during a time when everyone and their brothers and mothers were getting rich, and we kept selling our profits into Bitcoin, into fiat. And there was so much pushback. Every Friday we have town hall, and then people can post anonymous questions. And I don't know, I think it was every other week where people were criticizing our decision to keep going into fiat during this time. And yeah, I think it's during the times, when everyone has, that you prepare yourself for the dire times. And I think that's what we did. And I think that was the really, really strong base that we had. And it was not always easy, right? Because, you kind of really had to stick together when you were like two people in a company of, at that point, maybe 40 people, and everyone thought you were idiots, and you were like, everyone else was getting rich, and you're doing some exact opposite, right? And we could have been, here's the thing, right? I don't think we could have ever been wrong, because if crypto would have gone, let's say, to 100,000, we would have not maximized our returns, but we would have still made shitloads of money. But the goal many times is not to be right, it's not to be wrong. And I think that was so important for us. I think that preparation was really good, yeah.
Yeah, I still remember one thing you said during town hall, where there was a lot of questions being asked. Like, why are we not betting into even ICOs and all that? Why are we not keeping our treasury in cryptos? And Julian was saying that we're in a space of providing crypto as a service to our customers. We should not be doing that, because we would profit if the crypto is doing well, and we should prepare for when crypto winter happens, which coincidentally happened. So now we're in a good shape, because sure, we're losing money, but we have a lot of runway for us to wait for that. Not just wait, but continue to build. We have a lot of runway for us to hire good people to join the company and to build stuff. And when things turn around, and we will be happy to reap that benefits again.
Perfect segue into the next question, U-Zyn, which is about the Bake roadmap. So there's a user on Twitter wanting to know, can we expect any new features or announcements from the Bake team soon?
That's super interesting and very, very timely. I'm not sure if there's, I'm not sure I can share a lot, but the team is working hard on something that's going to be very, very revolutionary in the space. We're creating a platform that allows you as a user to look into many different asset classes and many different products out there, and not just limited to the blockchains or cryptos that we have. And in a way that you can then decide, is it a good thing to get into, or like, we're not trying to vet through all that. We're basically more agnostic on the things that we have, and we're not trying to like vet through, not to say vet, but more like endorse, that's the word, endorse the things that we have there. So more open, that you can use more. It's kind of like a platform in your hand. You can see we're really big on mobile app right now. So a platform in your hand, that if you see something, some news breakout on something that's happened in a political scene or something, you can have something in your hand that can quickly make a quick swap or something. You can really capitalize on that, and something that's, I think, is a strong thing that you have in your hand. And also the cool thing about blockchain is that you can actually prove that you own that asset, whatever that you have it, either long or short. You can actually prove that you own that, you make that trade. So this is where I think it's a strong thing for us to be able to do. And yeah, there's kind of a tease on the next direction that we're going.
Yeah, our mission is leveling the investment playing field. When we started back then Cake, today Bake, U-Zyn had this foresight that people going forward would really focus on getting cash flow on your crypto. And prior to 2019, 2018 earlier, everyone just focused on capital appreciation. You invest at $1,000 and you pull out at hopefully at $5,000. And then that's what then Bake really was centered around, getting cash flow. But at the end, leveling the investment playing field is not only getting access to staking and liquidity mining and tokenization, all these crazy things, but there are, like, let me give you like a very simple example, right? And it's actually very difficult to execute. So I'm not saying this is what's gonna happen, but just imagine this, right? So let's say Mt. Gox coins, the Bitcoins, are gonna get unlocked. Now, not only Bitcoin BTC is gonna get unlocked, but also BCH, BSV, and so on, right? They're all gonna get unlocked. Now, let's do a hypothetical scenario. Let's do a narrative, right? You go into a pharmacy, and in a pharmacy, you don't wanna, you're not an expert. So you go there and you're not gonna go and say, I need vitamin B6 and I need vitamin B12 and I need vitamin B3 and so on. No, you go in there and you say, hey, actually, you know, I need better, like my nails are a bit brittle, or I don't know, I need something for my hair. Do you have something, right? So you start with a narrative. It's a totally, and today, very little in investing actually goes this way because platforms don't operate this way. So let me walk you through a narrative and then explain to me, where would you do this? You would have to really understand how to do this, and that's exactly what for me means leveling the investment playing field. So let me paint a narrative. The narrative could be a lot of the hardcore maxis that come from the Bitcoin Mt. Gox days, right, very, very early. Well, they all hate BCH and they all hate BSV. So you don't know, maybe Bitcoin is gonna sell off. It could be, right? Maybe they're gonna dump a lot of this, but there's a high chance that BSV and Bitcoin Cash is gonna sell off harder than Bitcoin. So you could bet on that. You could open a position and say, you know what, I'm gonna bet on Bitcoin Cash in selling off stronger than Bitcoin. And if you are the pro trader, if you are the one who goes into a pharmacy and says, hey, I need vitamin B12 because I'm taking also metformin, and the metformin really eats up the B12, so I really need the vitamin B12, you're the pro. You know what you're doing. Most people don't. The pro trader knows how to trade that. 99% of investors don't, but they understand the narrative. They understand, wow, this would make so much sense. And so suddenly you would find a platform where you can do this. And obviously, it's not directly centered around cash flow anymore, so this is going to be like cash flow is still there, but suddenly you open this new avenue where suddenly you have narratives that make a lot of sense, that are, you can backtest them, and suddenly they work really well. And there's no other one who does this. And it kind of expands further. It goes into like a marketplace where you go and you have a lot of customers, and suddenly there's people who have these narratives, they have options, and they can add those to the marketplace. And then they can not get ranked by us as a company, but they can get ranked by the community themselves. And suddenly, you mix a lot of things together. And I think that's where the future lies when you really think of like leveling the investment playing field. Leveling the investment playing field is not day trading. It's not Robinhood. This is not leveling the investment playing field. It's actually shuffling more money into all the wealthy people. And we all inherently know that, but we also know that it's actually the hodlers, the long-term players that are actually winning. It's those that really have kind of the diamond hands. And with that, you can have some really nice strategies. And that's where the direction is going to go. And we hopefully can launch this relatively soon. So I'm super excited about that.
Awesome. Thanks, guys. Question here. I know we have lots of our customers from Germany, Switzerland, Austria in the room. This one is for you guys. Somebody has asked, when will the website or app be in German again one day?
I mean, look, so like, honestly, that BaFin removed that notice, and I want to be very clear. BaFin had a notice up about us that they wanted to look into whether we needed a financial license in Germany or not. And it was very clear that we didn't, but we had to fulfill two criteria. The first one was no German language, and the other one was removing the referral program for the German customer. So this was the condition. And look, if it was so easy as to rename and then lose the notice, trust me, everyone who has a notice up on BaFin would do it, right? This is not the case. I don't know who spread that fake news. So it's really about following those rules. So we are not going to add a German language. We're not going to add a referral program because I want to, like, the interaction with BaFin was absolutely fine. I don't want to break that rule with them. So we need to either wait until MiCA is active in Europe, then we can do this, or until, I don't know, we have a license in another German-speaking country. I want to be very clear, we're not pursuing that at this moment in any kind of aggressive manner, but this would be the only way. Until then, you just have to wait until BaFin accepts the MiCA license. And the reason we're not going to go for a license in Germany, we actually looked into this. BaFin made it very clear that it's probably going to take longer than waiting to get our MiCA license, and we're ready for MiCA. I mean, we have the European, like, we are ready for the European license for MiCA, so this makes way more sense than going for a specific BaFin license right now.
Awesome, thank you. U-Zyn, I think this one is for you. I'm going to ask one more question and we'll open up to the floor if anybody has any questions. But U-Zyn, shifting gears slightly, I know you're an active community member on the DeFi chain side. So question relating to that, can the 0.25% deposit fee for DeFi chain DEX be waived as it makes the DEX trading costly and inefficient?
Yeah, so for that, we're charging the cost on how much. So the background is that we're charging now, so if you put in D tokens or D cryptos from the DeFi chain side, deposit into a Bake, and now there's a fee of 0.25%. And we have to do that because that's actually the cost for us in having to wrap these tokens and giving it out. We have to deal with the compliance side, we have to deal with the operation side and all these things. So we're doing it we're just passing back the cost. Because we have been doing it as a service for DeFi chain community for a while now, and now it does cost us. So we're just passing back the cost now to the community members. And yeah, if you want to do that, then you have to do that. The alternative is that if you want to get into DeFi chain in not having to go through Bake, is to go through a bridge like Quantum Bridge, or the fact that DeFi chain is open, anyone can build a similar thing as well. So if you do have a company who knows how to integrate with, or developers yourself who know how to integrate with DeFi chain, you can provide that bridge service and make it lower, and we'll be really happy with that because that's our cost. Like, it doesn't cost us. We're not losing business if it goes to you because that's our cost. And if it goes to you, then we're happy. Like, we're adding more bridges to DeFi chain, and we get more liquidity. That's great.
Great, thanks, U-Zyn. Okay, I'm going to open up to the floor. This is an AMA, so you can ask anything. Does anybody have any questions they'd like to ask?
Thank you very much, Andrew, from IC membership. What do you intend to do to promote the DMC when it's on the mainnet?
You mean the meta chain layer with DeFi chains on? Okay, it's really way more of a what's called DeFi chain labs kind of question, not so much on the big side. So I'm going to answer it, but I also want to structure this, right? DeFi chain labs is really like it doesn't exist as a company or something. It's just a subgroup on birthday research of people who really focus only on the open source side with what everything is DeFi chain. And there's some of the core developers on there, some of the community members like Fabio and so on. They actually have an entire kind of, like they worked out this entire, actually do you want to share a bit more on this? Because I think that actually you're the better person rather than me answering that right now because you're actually way deeper in this.
Yeah, I'd be really happy to. So I'm Sam, by the way. I cover marketing for Cake Group, in case you're wondering why I'm answering the question. So there are a few things we're working on with the DeFi Chain Labs team. One is, I think, core priority really has to be engaging the developer community. So this month you're going to see a Learn and Earn program being rolled out by the DeFi Chain Labs team, which is kind of quite light mission-based tasks, engaging with kind of already established developer communities, helping those people understand the benefits of DeFi chain, the benefits of the meta chain layer, what it means for them. So that'll be rolling out in a couple of weeks. And then we'll, as that kind of developer community grows, we're going to actually do quite a big hackathon as well. So it's planned for Q4 this year. Don't hold me to it. But yeah, they're probably the two main things to look out for. I think for us, and the DeFi Chain Labs team, the most important thing is just that we really help that developer community understand what the benefits are for them on building on DeFi chain, especially now that the meta chain layer is coming along.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Yeah, and then maybe to tag along, I think on the big side, I think with MetaChain, you're going to see a stronger dissociation with Bake and DeFi chain. Why? Because there will be a lot of stuff happening on MetaChain that we cannot integrate on Bake. It's just too complicated. We cannot abstract the complexity away, right? We're going to try to implement, for example, one of the DEXs, and then try to help our customers get access to the tokens. But like implementing all the cash flow solutions, all the crazy kind of concepts, maybe that's going to happen a bit further down the line, but definitely not at the beginning. And we're getting a lot of questions from projects on this already, and I'm very clear on this. I say, look, we're very committed to adding as many tokens as possible, but it's going to be difficult to add all the token functionality, because that's just sometimes really, really complicated. But I hope with that, and I mean, we've close to, I think, close to 2 million users. I don't know. They know it better. Close to 2 million, between 1 million and 2 million. So we're gonna obviously send this out as well, right? We want to do the marketing there as well. So, and then with adding other projects, adding the other chains, we're getting a lot of kind of cross marketing there, and we're gonna try to help there as well. But I also want to just manage expectations that on Bake, we're not gonna add every functionality the MetaChain tokens are gonna have. it's just not possible, and sometimes way too complicated. And yeah, also too complicated for our customers. Our customers really, I think the majority of the big customers, they're very one-dimensional. Like even liquidity mining is almost too complicated for big customers, right? And we try to always kind of abstract the complexity. We never really found that perfect product because there is just this inherent volatility in the product. But that's just kind of to understand. What people love is they love the one-dimensionals. They love the staking, they love the lending, they love these one-dimensional things. Yeah, so that's just important to understand, yeah.
Thank you, Julian.
Yeah, sure.
Thank you.
Any other questions from the floor?
Are you still selling your treasuries into fiat? Or was that a timing where you said the market is too heated or something like that?
No,
or
so
you have enough runway now?
No, we have way enough runway. We're not selling any treasury into fiat at all at this stage. None. We actually stopped selling, I think at the beginning of the year already, or majority, we stopped selling basically any DFI revenue. We just keep that natively. Any Bitcoin revenue that we get is we pay all our salaries in Bitcoin. It's measured in dollars, but then we pay it in Bitcoin. Yeah, that's also why in the treasury, the Bitcoin balance has constantly been going down. The ETH balance is the one that's up. So to be fair, in our treasury also, mostly it's Ethereum and DFI right now. It's just because the Bitcoin balance keeps going down because that's the one we're spending for our customers. Yeah.
Thank you.
Maybe I'll ask a question on that. I think that's a question that I get asked a lot, so I kind of want to ask this about as well. When I make these really kind of controversial posts, right, where then there's like 100 hate messages, like how do you see that? How do you know that like what I actually think? What do you think about like when I say, for example, Bitcoin is not useful, ordinals make Bitcoin useful? How do you see that a bit from your side?
Yeah, I 100% agree with the message in the end, even though it's like there's a mix in between all of that. But their message at the end is that you need utility to make Bitcoin useful. Again, I 100% subscribe to that. And the funny way that Julian put it, in the early days when we first met, was that I'm really big on Ethereum. Even though I had Bitcoin, I was really big on Bitcoin, but then Bitcoin was pretty much stagnant. There's nothing going on. And Ethereum came around. There's so much utility you can build on that. And I was really big on Ethereum. I talked to Julian about that. And Julian was like really big on Bitcoin. And then we had a couple of debates. Like I was shilling my ETH to Julian, and Julian was talking about Bitcoin to me. Yeah. And for that, I think that time Ethereum was kind of small. Like there's not much going on. There's ICOs and there's not much going on. But I think that you
had the foresight already to understand what could be possible, and I didn't have that.
Yeah, I think that's kind of like, I wouldn't say foresight, but kind of like we're in a slightly different, like if you compare your Twitter and my Twitter, we're looking at totally different people. Yeah, I don't have any laser eyes on my Twitter at all, and I don't have any anti-laser eyes at all on my Twitter feed, so I don't see the things that Julian talked about, but all these laser eyes, I don't have any of them, and I just don't feel that. And when Ethereum, on their utility part, so ICO, where for me, I think that the base layer on Ethereum, where you can build so much more great things, that's why I was really big on Ethereum like a couple of years back, because you can build so much more great stuff with it. And this is the exact same way I feel with Bitcoin right now. I 100% agree with Julian that right now Bitcoin is like, before ordinals came around, it's like, what do you do with Bitcoin? There's like nothing much going on, and Lightning Network's been around for a while, it's not being taken up. But now with ordinals, and now with all this talk about meta protocols and all these things that you can build on ordinals, BRC20 and all the things above that, and now the interest is back again on building on Lightning Network. That's why, for me, I'm really big on Bitcoin. Not for the state that it's in right now, but for the state that it will be like 6 months or 12 months from now. So, in a way, we're aligned. We're seeing eye to eye on our view. It's just a different way of expressing it, yeah.
Yeah, 100%. And I think I'm someone also, and people who work with me closely know that, I'm someone who likes friction, where I feel like that friction spreads the message, people share, they comment, and so I do kind of instigate that a bit as well. Yeah, so I think that's also very fundamentally different from how we go actually end to up to at the same point, yeah.
Any more questions from the floor? No, in that case, guys, I'll ask you both for some closing thoughts, I think. Maybe, I think in the context of this amazing week here in Singapore with so much buzz and activity going on, any kind of takeaways from the week, closing thoughts you'd like to leave all of our guests with?
Maybe I'll start. Yeah, this week has been super intense, super hectic. If you've been to the Ordinals conference that Cake Group organizes, on Tuesday, there was the largest Ordinals conference in the world, and we had the best people over from all around the world coming over, including the creators of Ordinals himself. KC was there as well. It was such an amazing event. Met so many great people, met so many builders. That's why it actually reinforces myself and reinforces my thought that actually Bitcoin it's right at the edge of being something that's really big, because there's some catalyst that's gonna turn it into something that's really big. It's also the fact that Bitcoin right now is in a mess right now because there's so many things building stuff. So I gave a talk during that event where I was saying that so many people are building stuff, and we're actually building not only on top of each other, but also building at the side of each other. And there's actually a lot of conflicting projects and protocols that are building on the side of each other. It feels like a chaos right now, but this is precisely what Ethereum was in 2015. So there are so many competing token standards. ERC20 wasn't a standard yet, but there's so many different competing token standards. There's no one way to build a token until ERC20 came out. Even when it came out, it was controversial because people were talking about that's not the right way to do it, I can do it my way, and then it kind of gravitates towards that. So I feel that it's a Bitcoin at that level right now where, yeah, it will gravitate towards something that will stick. Right? So for me, this week, I feel really great to meet all these builders, all these developers trying to build and contribute to the space, and people are making things open source and encouraging like all these things. And for me, I feel that this is where that's a light at the end of the crypto winter that we're at right now. With all these developers coming back, it's kind of a sign to me that we're coming to the end of the winter. I don't know, maybe I'm too hopeful there, but I'm feeling really good about this. People are starting to build stuff now and building a lot more great things. On Ethereum, on Bitcoin, on DeFi chain, with all the DMC projects coming up, super exciting.
Yeah, and I just want to tag along there with maybe a personal story. I come from professional surfing, and if you ever look at professional surfers, I think you can identify 3 types of surfers. The first group is the largest group, and that's the same as in crypto. They don't even understand that there's waves. They don't even look at the waves, they don't even look at the ocean, they don't even care about this. So they are non-surfers. Every once in a while they try to get in, but they don't really take this serious. And the majority of crypto is that way, because they're all out right now, they ignore it. For them, crypto is dead, it's never gonna recover, that was it, all-time lows, and we're just gonna keep going lower, right? So this is the large group. Then you have the second group. The second group are those who actually watch the waves. They're absolute amateurs. They always go into the waves, they have the wrong timing, they always position themselves completely wrongly, they always get into the big breaks, and when the waves come, they just always kind of get whitewashed, right? So they sell at the top, buy at the bottom, they buy at the top, they sell at the bottom. Typical what like a lot of people do. And the reason for that is very simple. The reason is because they look at a lot of other people, what they're doing, and they kind of get always influenced by this FOMO and fear of missing out and fear of panicking and so on. But then also because they have no faith. They have no trust and no faith that the waves will come. The professional surfers, they really understand that the ocean will produce those waves and that the waves will come. And you need to have that faith. And you need to have that faith that the reef is there and that the waves will always break at specific points. The majority of the waves don't break there, but the big swell breaks there. The 5 waves that come in a swell, they break at these specific points. And so you need to have that faith. And good surfers, they swim out, they position themselves with this faith that the waves will break at specific points. And these are specifically moments where the majority don't go there. And so if you kind of put that picture into right now, you need to have this faith that the next wave will come. You need to have this faith that Bitcoin is going to become useful, that the Ethereum utility is going to be used, that DeFi chain is going to be used, that the US is probably going to go into a money printing mode and is going to go into a risk on mode. You need to have this faith that the Bitcoin spot ETF is going to come, Ethereum ETFs are going to come, that the world's going to have this adoption. You need to have that faith. And the key thing is this: if you wait for this wave to beat and this wave to break, you're just going to be like the amateurs, who are just going to get whitewashed and whitewashed and whitewashed. But you need to be like the pros, and the pros, they position themselves up front and have that faith that that's going to come. And that's the key thing. And I think right now it's this perfect positioning time, just like U-Zyn says. So I think it's really, really fantastic in this very moment. Whether you are an entrepreneur building a company or an investor, I think it's just the time to be.
Love that we finished with a healthy dose of hopium, guys. Thanks so much. That just leaves me to say thank you to everybody for coming. I know many of you have traveled across the world to be here with us this week. It's been amazing having you guys around. Thank you to our other guests, partners, friends. It's great to see you here. Gordon has been busy in the kitchen all day. Thank you to Gordon and his team. Thank you to the Bake team for all the work you guys have done on the camera. It's been a really, really busy week this week. You guys have done an amazing job. And thank you to you guys for sharing your ideas and thoughts with us all.
Thanks everyone for coming. Big applause, please, for the entire Orga team that's around they're outside here. Thank you.